Hello.
Hey, everybody.
I don't know how to start. Hi. How's it going?
I can't believe how many people there are in here. This is crazy.
I am pumped. So many people have shown up for this, and I get it because a lot of people I think are looking for how to find remote work.
Yeah, that's something that we've been seeing all over the place in all the different digital nomad and travel groups and the digital marketing groups. Everybody's asking us, so how do you live this life?
Well, I've got a job that lets me work from anywhere.
Yeah, and so we're going to show you how to find one of those as well. But before we get started, how about? So before we get started, is this not working?
You gotta hit it. Okay, there we go.
All right,
there we go.
Okay. So before we get started, does any of this sound familiar?
I bet some of it might.
You're sick of the 9-to-5 grind.
I like to think that that empty chair represents where I used to sit in the cubicle farm. I no longer reside there from 9 to 5.
Well, I can't imagine why you left. It seems very cheery.
That beige is really inspiring, isn't it?
It's doing a lot. Do you waste hours getting ready to do a job that you're already ready to do? I know ladies in particular are going to feel this one.
Yes. Yeah. How long do you spend getting ready to go to work?
Right. And the commute and all of this time, that's unpaid labor. That's time that you're not spending with your family, which do you feel like you see brake lights more than you see your own family? I know there's a lot of people who feel that way. The commute gets crazy. It's so long.
Especially for people in big cities, especially in the Bay Area out in California.
Absolutely. Well, we met in Pittsburgh, and you could really be stuck on the 28 for like days.
An hour and 15 minutes at least. Not that I know that struggle.
Yeah, so I know you guys probably feel that. Do you feel like you can't help thinking that there must be more to life than this?
Is this all that your work life is? Is this what your career is?
Right. Are you staring down the barrel of another 20 to 40 years of this and you're not really sure how you're feeling about it? I know there's a lot of people who are there. So are you in a position where you want to find remote work, but you don't know how?
We have you covered on that. We know a thing or two about it.
We sure do, because we totally get that feeling because we've been there. Both of us come from a corporate background. Both of us now work remotely and actually travel the world while doing so. So actually, why don't we take this moment to introduce ourselves? I'm Kelly, and this is Kari. As you can probably tell from this picture, we are best friends. This here over on the left is us in Vegas. This was actually right before Steve Forbes' 70th birthday party, which was a really amazing experience.
We got to wear sequins to that.
Absolutely. Always die for a sequin.
In the middle, this is a really fun memory. This is us in Boston at the Pride Parade. And not often do we have to physically be places to do client work, but sometimes we do. Like when you have to live tweet from a Pride Parade in a fun wig and bright lipstick and fun sunglasses.
It's not a bad gig.
It's not. I've had worse.
Absolutely. And then over here on the right, this is us on a boat in the canals in Amsterdam, which is one of my favorite places to be.
Mm-hmm.
So we are also digital nomads. This over here on the left, this is Kari looking out over Prague. We've got Kari and her lion mane looking out over Acapulco.
Yeah, my hair, it reacts to the humidity.
Yeah, the tropics.
Fun ways.
The tropics are a challenge. And then this is me in Medellin, Colombia, in our penthouse suite that we stayed in.
So over the last 18 months, we have traveled the world and recorded our adventures on the Workationing podcast. Over the course of, I guess, building that podcast, it started out kind of as an audio scrapbook for us, and we were surprised by how many listeners we acquired over time. But then we get feedback from those listeners, and they ask us questions. How do you get work that enables you to travel the world like this? What is it that you do exactly? How can I get work like that? And I know the answers to all of these questions. And I have been answering them privately. Sometimes I pop into the Digital Nomad subreddit and answer questions. But what this webinar is kind of a condensed version of all of the most frequently asked questions and answers that we give. And the ultimate question is, how did we get here?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start in the beginning. So this really started with Kari, actually.
It did. So I used to work in advertising about 10 years ago, not to date myself too much. And I didn't like the daily grind. I hated the commute. I ran the math on that. Again, it's 500 plus hours a year. And I had some friends who were freelance writers, and I have never seen a cooler lifestyle than a freelance writer has. They get to work from anywhere, write about interesting things, and talk to cool people. And I started talking to some of my writer friends, and I was like, well, how do I get into this industry? And they gave me some tips. I followed those tips. I'm going to give these tips and tricks to you as well. But following these steps, which I'm about to show you, I was able to replace my entire income in advertising, and it was a decent paying job within 3 months.
So it's totally doable.
It's totally doable. It is replicable. You can do this too, and we're going to show you how. And soon, it didn't take too long that before, not only did I have more work than I could handle, but then I had so much work that I could like farm it off to other people. And this is how I grew my agency. And so I started the agency in 2010 with $500. You do not need a big investment in order to create this type of lifestyle for yourself. For me, it was $500, and I spent 100% of that on creating the Content Factory's first website. And from there, I just grew and grew and grew. And you can do it too.
Absolutely. And then I became a part of the TCF team, I think maybe 3 years ago. Kari and I knew each other from back in our startup days.
Yeah.
And she gave me a call and said, knew that I was looking for something and called me up. And she asked me if I wanted to come to Mexico to train.
Well, here's the thing. I really, really, really wanted Kelly on the team. And I knew that she liked to travel. Well, I like to travel too. And I sometimes have retreats with my employees where we go and we knock out a big work project, but we do it somewhere tropical. We've been to Puerto Rico, we've been to Mexico, we've been several different places. But I figured, the best way to lure Kelly onto the TCF team was to offer her a free training trip to Mexico.
Well, and it worked.
Yeah, I made her an offer she couldn't refuse, and there we were on the beaches of Mexico.
Absolutely. And so that's where it all started, is that we were both in a place where we could work from anywhere, and so we did. It suddenly became a thing where, Kari would call me up one day, and I'd be like, my trash boyfriend just decided to cheat on me, and I'm so upset, and girl moment. And she'd be like, how about we meet in the Dominican Republic tomorrow?
Right, because Kelly was in Ohio, I was in New Hampshire, and it was kind of cold. I think the Dominican Republic sounds lovely, actually. Let me type up some deal websites and see what Outlook. Yeah, now we're going tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. So that started to become, a few time a year occurrence that Kari and I would go and, travel for a few weeks together and, work really hard and usually knock out some huge work projects while also having just the time of our lives. So eventually we kind of asked ourselves, why can't life always be like this? I think the first time that we had this conversation was actually, and look at this, Kari. I have the picture right here. We were sitting right here. This is a picture I took on the beach during that first Mexico trip that we were there with another colleague of ours, and we were eating fish tacos. And as you can see, it was just like the most perfect day. And we were just like, why can't we do this? Like, why can't life always be like this?
You know what, though? It turns out it can.
It totally can. So eventually, after talking about it for a while and having a ton of conversations about it, we decided, why are we putting this off? We can do this, and so we should.
We are not getting any younger. Somehow I'm still only 27.
Somehow.
In my mid to late 27. Realistically, we're not getting any younger. And so how long are we going to wait before we decide to make this move that
Absolutely.
we've been dreaming about for years and years and years? And we've always kind of talked about, but it was like, can I really do this?
Yeah, absolutely. And Kari and I have a shared background in that we both lost parents to cancer early in life, who both had aspirations of travel, but never really got to go there. It was something that they were kind of putting off for a different time in their life. But unfortunately that time didn't come. And so we're both acutely aware that time doesn't come for everyone.
Right.
And so on January 1st, 2017, we put everything we owned into a storage unit and boarded a plane to Puerto Rico. And the rest is history.
Yeah, here we are now recording this webinar from Amsterdam.
Yes, and it has been a wild ride. So we talked a little bit about the podcast, and when we started that, we thought, our friends back home, maybe my mom might listen to it, but we have thousands of listeners all around the world, which is so unexpected and amazing. We were featured last year in over 22 different like major publications. You can see some of them here. We were profiled in Bustle and Glamour, and Kari's a better boss for traveling the world, and I think that's 100% true.
I think so too, because it forced me to implement processes, right? That people could implement and follow, fail-proof, step-by-steps. And I took that knowledge and applied it to this course as well.
Absolutely. So it has been just beyond our expectations. On top of being the most fun year of my life, it's been so cool to see that this message has reached people and that people have really responded to it. And that's really where this course was born, was from all of the enthusiasm that we got from our listeners, and, you know, people who reached out to us to say, number one, that they loved what we were doing, and number two, like, how do I get in on this?
Right. Right. Let's be clear, there are absolutely no shortcuts.
No, we are not here to tell you that any of this is going to happen overnight. This is going to be a process. You're going to have to show up for it. You're going to have to do the work. However, we know that if we show you how to do this, and it's not rocket science, but what it does require is that you show up and commit to this process.
I was able to follow this process and make more money and have more freedom in 90 days. It was actually less than 90 days, but like I'll round up 90 days to 3 months.
Yeah, if you stick with this process, it will work for you. And the other thing we want to, before we really dive into the meat of this, we want to address this main issue, which is that the only way to become a digital nomad is to know how to generate ROI. And what we mean by that is that there's so many people out there who think that, like, maybe they're going to start a business or start a travel blog, or they're going to find some kind of way to make money on the internet. But the thing that they're not realizing is that to get someone to write you a check, or to, I guess not really writes checks anymore.
Right. Send you a PayPal.
Yeah, exactly. They're only going to do that if the value that you have provided for them is in excess of that amount, because otherwise it makes no business sense to do that. So if you want to get clients and make money and hold on to those clients, you need to know how to generate ROI for those clients.
Yes. And talking about the travel blogs, I am an expert in the industry. I am an SEO expert, and girl, if you gave me a year, I don't think that I could replace any kind of income with a travel blog. That market is so saturated.
It is, and it is possible, and people do it, but we are, not to brag, but really at the top of our industry. And if I don't know that we could name that tune in a year.
No.
To get to the point that we could like really replace a significant income.
No, and you would have to know SEO for that.
Absolutely, it's harder than it sounds. So be really wary of people who tell you that you're just gonna, like, you know, build a blog and quickly affiliate, you know, your way to a digital nomad lifestyle that's going to work for you, because that's really tough to do. I don't even know how I would do it.
No, that's going to get you stranded in Chiang Mai, posting on digital nomad Facebook groups like, I messed up, and now I'm out of money.
Yes.
And I don't know what to do. And I see those, you can tell that the person's crying as they write it. Sometimes they even start it with, I'm crying as I write this. And my heart breaks for those people, because they didn't start out their digital nomad journey the right way. They didn't know how to create ROI. They didn't have tangible skills, marketable skills that enabled them to, on an ongoing basis, source work that it pays the bills and keeps them able to travel, or at least get back home from the other side of the world. You always want to make sure you have get home money. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's really heartbreaking to watch people who have been dreaming of this life for a while, as so many of us have, and then they get out there and it just crashes and burns. And once again, that's why we're doing this. We want to show people the way to do this the right way, in a sustainable way, in a way that's going to make this your life for the rest of your life, not just like an extended vacation. So if all of this sounds maybe a little intense, if we're scaring you a little, please do not freak out. We know that transitioning to remote work is a process. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time and consistent effort, but we really can help you get there. Want you to know the pitfalls and what's out there, but you can do this. This is 100% doable. So if you're feeling a little stressed by this, don't, take a breath. It's going to be okay. However, we will say that when you are making a big change in your life, it is stressful. When Kari and I decided that we were going to be digital nomads in the months leading up to it, when we were, getting rid of our apartments and cats and boyfriends and all of those fun things, that was not an easy process. And there was a lot of crying.
There was peppered, just sprinkled with panic attacks.
Yes. We were panicked. We were scared. We didn't know what we were doing. And all of that is so natural. And there's so many things that come up. And I know from talking to so many other digital nomads out there that that is just part of the process.
Everyone goes through it, but you don't have to go through it alone, because if you get yourself an internet therapist.
We both have one. We sing their praises all the time. We're big evangelists for this, because you're going to need some emotional support through this process. And if you feel like it might help you to have like a disinterested third party to help you out with that, this is totally the way to go. And because they're an internet therapist, you can take them with you on the road.
Yeah. You don't have to switch therapists every time you switch locations. You get to keep your therapist, and it's so great. You can type to them. You can Skype with them. You get to chat with them 6-7 days a week if you want to. And I can't recommend BetterHelp enough if you are looking to start a digital nomad journey, because it's going to be stressful. And BetterHelp.com/workationing. We like them so much. We are affiliate partners with them.
Absolutely. So check it out if you feel like that might be some support that you might need, because that's totally common.
So let's get into the business of breaking into the digital nomad business.
Absolutely. So the first thing you're going to want to do is choose your lane. And what we mean by that is that you need to decide how you are going to become a digital nomad. So digital nomads are different in that, like, this isn't a situation. I know there are people who will go to other countries. We meet lots of them on the road, and they'll teach English as a second language, or they'll like pick up a job somewhere. And that's not specifically what we're talking about. And that's not technically being a digital nomad. What we're talking about are digital skills. These are skills that you can take with you anywhere. Like if you're teaching English as a second language, you can go move to another country and live there, but you're not going to get to move around a lot and, travel and all of that. So what you really ideally want is a job that you can work from literally anywhere in the world. And those are all online.
Right. So we're talking web design, graphic design, freelance writing, SEO. I feel like Sally Struthers. Do you want to make more money and work from home? Sure. We all do. TV, VCR repair. I'm kidding.
Yeah, that one won't work.
Social media marketing, digital PR, programming, and coding. We have met Cam Girl digital nomads.
Yeah,
you can really write your own ticket any number of ways, but that it has to be digital.
Absolutely. So what you're going to want to do is look at this list and say, some of you are going to be like, oh, I'm already a web designer, and you know that that's the way that you're going to go, and that's great. But if you don't, take a look at this list and what stands out to you, like what speaks to your particular existing skill set, your talents, your interests, what sounds like something you could do every day and not want to die.
Right. Not hate yourself. Not wake up in the morning and go like, get to do this again.
Yeah. So I'm sure something will stick out to you, but to be very frank, if you don't have a digital skill and you have aspirations of becoming a digital nomad, well, it's time to get a skill.
If you don't have a skill, you're not going to be able to sustain yourself on the road as a digital nomad. It's just going to be untenable. You have to not just get a digital skill, but then hone your skills as well.
Absolutely. And this does not necessarily mean that you have to go back to school.
No.
The wonderful thing is that, like, I have worked, and Kari, both of us have worked in digital marketing for about a decade now, and I didn't learn anything in school.
I dropped out of college.
I finished and it was pointless. So like you aren't going, the thing about the digital marketing world and any kind of like digital online stuff like that is that, but for most of these industries, it changes so quickly that by the time something ends up in a curriculum somewhere.
Right, in a textbook, how outdated is that?
So outdated.
So outdated. And most colleges aren't even teaching SEO. Not really.
Not really. So all of these skills are you can take an online training program.
Mm-hmm.
You could take a sidetrack for a minute. I found that working in startups is a great way if you're willing to show up, work hard, put forth your best effort, and put your own desk together.
Right?
So
you're handy with that IKEA, right?
You're definitely going to be putting your own desk together.
So true.
But people will let you try. Someone will teach you. It won't be the most lucrative job in the world, but if you're really looking to acquire a skill, that's another thing I recommend. So the next thing you need to do is you've got to fill your toolbox.
And any professional or new professional in the digital space, the standard, you're going to need a portfolio website. This is especially true if you are a graphic designer
or a writer.
Solid social media presence. What's your LinkedIn look like?
Yeah, you need to take a look at that, because the thing is that when you are applying for digital jobs, people are going to look at your online presence. That's going to be the first thing that they're going to look at, and they're going to look at it for about 5 seconds, to be real with you. And so they need to immediately be able to look at your online presence and say, this is a person who seems to be experienced, who seems to know their stuff, and it's professional.
They can represent my company well. Is essentially what they're looking for. And so you need to make sure that you're representing yourself well. Hey, what's your LinkedIn profile photo look like?
Exactly.
You know, maybe update it.
Take a little look.
Yeah, you're gonna need Mixmax, and we'll get into this in a minute, but I am a big fan of email tracking. And Mixmax is my favorite tool. It's like, I want to say it's like $9 a month or something. And there's a free version too. We'll get into that in a little bit. You're also going to need a tracking spreadsheet. That's just a Google spreadsheet.
Yeah, actually, yeah, it's just a tracking spreadsheet. You want to just be able to keep track of everything that you're doing, and we'll get into a little bit more about what that means in just a second.
You're also going to need a killer cover letter and resume. And the cover letter is essentially like the email that you send to the person that outlines your background, expertise, why you're interested in the position, why you think you could really knock it out of the park if given the opportunity. And then you attach your resume to that email. But most people are never going to pop open that attachment.
Right.
They're going to be sold on you as a potential candidate just from that cover letter. And again, new era, your cover letter is an email in this case.
Absolutely. And you know, the thing is about having a killer cover letter is it's one of the most powerful things you can do, because consistently across the board, cover letters are terrible. We are kind of constantly hiring, growing, and expanding. And as we go through that process, we get literally thousands of applications. And so we know what it takes for someone to stand out from the crowd in that sort of a situation. We know what it looks like from the other side. And if you are trying to get a job in this space, first of all, being able to stand out, having a cover letter that has like high impact,
right, that
really, you know, tells your story. But also lets them know what the benefits are. It also lets them see, like Kari said before, how you would represent their company.
Right. You want to show a little personality out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you can do that, it really puts you head and shoulders above the pack. So the next thing you need to do is you need to actually find some remote work.
And to be clear, I got started on this while I still had a full-time day job. So what we're going to tell you to do, if you have a full-time day job, you're never going to be able to replace that income with remote work unless you start investing in finding that remote work sooner rather than later. And there are all kinds of places where you can find remote work. Media Bistro is a great place, great resource. Upwork, you know,
we're a little more iffy on that one, but some people are making it happen.
Not really
allegedly.
Hearing people killing it on Upwork, but on Craigslist, and I love Craigslist. We're going to walk you through my strategy for Craigslist so you can find more work than you can handle. There's also personal networking. You can follow various digital nomad groups. You can search for places that hire digital nomads. Word of mouth. The groups are a great place for that. The Facebook groups and also the digital nomad subreddit.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's people all over the place looking for people to help them with precisely this kind of work. It's an amazing time to get into this space. And if you hang out a shingle, as they say, right, you know, doing social media management or web design or whatever it is you do, chances are somebody that you know is going to come and knock and be like, oh, I heard you do such and what. And because they're looking for somebody to do it for them. And, you know, especially I think early on in this process, that was how I found my first few remote jobs. Was I was actually approached by other people who just knew what I did.
Right. But I think that if you're really, really serious about getting started with digital nomad work and sourcing remote work, where you want to spend the majority of your time is on Craigslist, because everyone posts on Craigslist. It's one of the biggest job boards that exists, and it's largely ignored in all of these DN communities. You know?
Yeah, every time we bring up Craigslist, everyone's like, oh, I didn't think of that. And so that's the great news, is that this is what people are not thinking of. And it also happens to be kind of the biggest wealth of remote work job listings. Yeah, absolutely.
And high-paying work, too. High-paying work. You're going to get some low-paying work in there as well, but I don't think it's anywhere near the crap that you find on Upwork.
Yeah, absolutely. That's #accurate.
Right? So I like to geek out over things. Some every now and then I've been known to, point my brain towards a problem and fix it, solve that problem.
Oh, show.
And I figured out how to hack Craigslist. And it just took a lot of time. It took a lot of copy pasting. But essentially, if you're looking for digital nomad work, why are you only focused on looking for opportunities in your city?
Yeah, absolutely. The point is you can work from anywhere. So why don't you look basically everywhere?
Exactly. And Craigslist makes it really easy for you to do that. You can pop open each state, and then it gives you all of the major cities in that state. It gives you the smaller cities beyond the ones that it lists on the right sidebar, which are the major metropolitan areas. But, Pittsburgh's not on that list. And Pittsburgh is a pretty big town. And there are jobs and gigs posted for digital nomads every day in Pittsburgh.
Right. And what's cool about these sort of more like medium market cities is that there is the demand for these jobs, but there isn't as much of a supply because a lot of times if you're in a town like Pittsburgh or Atlanta, we love Pittsburgh. That's where we met years ago. So not to talk crap about Pittsburgh because it's an amazing city and so many people do choose to live there and love it. But also a lot of people who are looking to really grow their careers end up going to, New York City or Chicago or somewhere like that. So because those people are kind of out of the pool, then you have a really good chance in somewhere like Pittsburgh or Atlanta of finding a job that is high paying and that is going to be interesting to you because the competition, it just isn't going to be quite as high.
And here's the thing. If you are applying for the same type of job or the same type of gig, then the same type of cover letter with a little tweaks for customization here or there can do the job for you over and over again. So it becomes a copy paste job, and it becomes more like, I don't want to say data entry, but it kind of is because it's a numbers game. And if you're not sending out the volume of applications required to hedge your bets and make sure that you're, making it through and getting enough work in the first place, you're just never going to be able to source enough work to be able to replace the income from your desk job.
Right. And to be clear, there are enough jobs on Craigslist that you can send out 25, 50 applications every day.
I would send 50 a day. Craigslist, I think, maxes you out at 50 a day.
Well, you've always been an overachiever.
But it took me no time to start really making real money from Craigslist. So finding remote work is all about hustle and consistency. You have to send out the volume of pitches or job applications, as the case may be, and you have to do so consistently in order to source enough work to replace the income from your desk job.
Absolutely. And while you're doing this, keep in mind that it takes a second. It's going to feel for the first couple days like you're just, sending off all of these emails out into the void, but it takes a while for it to go through the hiring managers, for them to decide if they're going to want to get back to you. And, especially if you're getting started, and it might go a little slower for you if you are just getting started in an industry, if you don't have much of a portfolio. Mm-hmm. And so maybe you want to take a few jobs, for free. Maybe, if
I would limit it to 3. I would do 3 free jobs just to have 3 examples of work that I could point to. But then from that point forward, you got to pay me.
Absolutely. So, do what and you can do it, but just, take your time. It's going to start off slow at first, but then once you get rolling with this and once you start getting jobs, then suddenly it's going to be even easier for you to get jobs, and this sort of accumulates over time.
Right. And you just consistently level up. Right? You get paid more for the next one. It's at a cooler outlet, or, the job's more interesting, et cetera, until all of a sudden you have everything you want.
Yeah, absolutely. So once you start this process, if it starts out a little slow, don't let that discourage you. Just keep doing, do the work the process, and you're going to get there. The other thing you want to do is avoid those ugly flame outs that we were talking about.
You don't want to be crying and posting on Facebook.
No, it's not good. So the thing that you are not going to want to do is do not quit your day job until you can replace the income that you already have with remote work.
And you've got those contracts signed and lined up, because things fall through, and you don't want things to fall through when you're not financially able to make up the difference.
Absolutely. And you will want to have worked this process for long enough and worked out the kinks in it, so that that if all of your clients dropped you overnight, that you're going to be able to replace that work.
Right.
So you know how to go out and get work, and that just involves a learning curve, and you're going to just over time get better at it. And the way that you're going to get better at it is that you're going to track all of this.
I'm a big fan of spreadsheets and tracking.
Absolutely. And it's for exactly this reason. From this quote from Peter Drucker, it's one of my favorites, actually. If you can't measure it, you can't improve it.
That is 100% true. It's 100% true. And
of literally everything.
You should be tracking all kinds of things, but especially you want to be tracking the applications that you send out to all of these Craigslist jobs.
Absolutely.
Right? And so you want to know when you sent that email, you want to know what the company was. You want to know, you want to link to the job listing so that you can pop it open and see, oh, well, now I remember, because it's all going to seem the same after a while. When you're applying to a large volume of job postings every day, it's easy to lose track. So you really want to keep track. You want to track your opens, and this is what Mixmax enables you to do. So if somebody doesn't open your email, you can follow up with or send a brand new email with a different subject line and see if that gets them to click.
Absolutely. And that is the kind of tweaking process that we're talking about. Because here's the thing, knowledge is power, and each email you send is another data point.
Right. It's very interesting to me when I see that somebody's opened my email 8 times. That's an indication of interest, I would say.
Absolutely. And so it kind of gives you a sense that when you're tracking things, you can start doing more of what works, less of what doesn't. You can A/B test and just tweak your way to the point that suddenly, you can say reliably that you're going to get the jobs that you're looking for.
I love a good A/B test, and here's a pro tip. If you track your open rates by subject line, you can A/B test and see which subject line gets the most opens. Well, then you know that you're going to go with that one over the other one, and now you get to come up with a different subject line to A/B test to see if you can further optimize your open rates, because if people aren't opening your emails, you're never going to get the job. And if you're not tracking who's opening your emails, then how do you know?
Absolutely. This is something that we do professionally all the time too, in email marketing, that we do for the Content Factory and that we do for clients and that sort of thing, is that we're constantly tracking open rates. And I can tell you, this is like one of the things that I focus on, that you absolutely can significantly increase the number of opens and the number of like engagements and replies that you get from people by tweaking your subject line. That is like the most powerful thing that you can do. So that's something that you really want to track, because it is going to make the difference for you in the long run, and it's just a numbers game. So the higher percentage of opens that you can get, the better off you're going to be.
Also, if you're noticing that you're getting a lot of opens, but you're not getting any responses, and it's been weeks and you still don't have any responses, then that tells you that you've got a problem with your cover letter.
Absolutely.
It's not, you know that the subject line is good, people are opening it, they presumably are reading your cover letter, maybe even checking out your resume, but if they're not contacting you back, well, you know where the problem is.
Absolutely. So tracking everything allows you to be kind of like Sherlock Holmes and get in there and be like, okay, so I'm not getting work, but why? And you can start to see, well, people aren't even opening it. Okay, well, then we need to work on our subject line.
Right.
Or like you said, it could be the cover letter. But if you aren't tracking this the whole time, it's going to be impossible for you to go back. If you're sending out 25 a day, that's already 100 in 4 days. And it's going to be so impossible for you to visualize and crystallize that information in a way that's going to make sense for you. But if you start from the beginning tracking everything, then you're going to be able to just look at it and go, okay, I see the problem. And then you're going to know where to focus your energy.
And again, the tool you can use for this is called Mixmax, and it will tell you who opened your email. It will tell you where they were when they opened your email. It will tell you if they clicked on any of your links. It will tell you if they clicked on any of your attachments. It should come with a restraining order, honestly. Right. It gives you so much information, and I'm like, people know about that?
Right. It's just like the crazy ex-girlfriend of Chrome plugins, but it's a real lifesaver.
That's a great description of this, but it exists, so why don't you use it to track your performance and optimize your performance?
1000%. So the next thing you're going to want to do is once you started sending these out, you're going to also need to follow up, and you're going to want to do that strategically. And do you want to talk about what that looks like?
Sure. So we kind of went over it a little bit in the last slide. You want to track opens and give extra attention to people who have opened it multiple times. So again, if you see that somebody's opened your email 4, 5, 8 times, it's an indication that they're interested. Or that your cover letter is so bad that they have forwarded it around the office and everyone's laughing at you, but that's probably not the case.
Yeah, probably not.
Probably not the case. They're probably interested. So now you know how to follow up. And, I wouldn't say, hey, I track my emails and I see that you've popped this open 8 times.
Yeah, I would go ahead and not say that.
And live in Akron. You know?
Right.
You know, I wouldn't follow up that way, but you know that this person is at least on some level interested enough to read what you have written several times. If you don't get an open and you follow up once and they still don't open it, well, just switch out your subject line.
Yeah, they didn't see it anyways, so
they don't know who you are.
Right, they clearly didn't pay attention to you, so you can go on ahead and try again.
Take another swing of that bat.
Yeah, you know, shoot your shot, see what you can do. So, and also do not be shy, because you really have nothing to lose. These hiring, like, don't be creepy, don't be overbearing, don't, you know, get weird with it, but like also don't be shy. Put yourself out there. You are expressing interest for a job that is posted. They are getting tons of communication, and sometimes what they really do want to see is the person who cares enough,
right,
to follow up. Because it can be really hard to hire people online, because what you need are people who are going to show up and do the work and who are enthusiastic about it enough that they're not going to need like a lot of extra managing, because like a remote job is a very autonomous kind of job. And so when you see that extra bit of hustle from somebody and that extra bit of gumption, you know, to the hiring managers, that often looks good. So don't worry about, you know, annoying people, and you just keep following up until they tell you to stop, girl.
Yeah, and exactly. They'll tell you to go away. They'll tell you when the position has been filled. And here's another fun thing that Mixmax does. Mixmax, when you send an email, it will pop it back up into your inbox at whatever time frame you want. So if you want to follow up every 2 days, 2 or 3 days is what I would recommend. On these job applications, you just click that box and it's going to bring it back into your inbox. And now you know how to respond or to follow up.
Absolutely. And that makes everything so easy. And then, you know, you can really automate this. And, you know, the setup might take a little while. It takes a little while to get your cover letter on point, your resume together, and to type out your emails, and to, you know, feel like once you get to that point, this is not really a super time consuming process.
No.
You can do it in less time than you would think, because like Kari said before, it does kind of become almost like data entry.
You can listen to music while you do it, you know, just kind of groove out, apply to a bunch of jobs.
Just playlist
just do it on the weekends, do it on the evenings when you get home from the job you don't want to work at anymore, you know? And don't get discouraged, because you're trying to save yourself and create the life that you want. So like, go do that and be committed to the process, and eventually you're going to be able to get work. And when you do that, then you get to level up and repeat.
Absolutely.
It's the best part of the hustle. You know? So the process is simple. You get work. You slay that work. You do a good job. You leave the client satisfied. You provide that ROI. You ask for a testimonial. This is what we mean by collect your receipts. Get testimonials you can put on your website. Ask if you can use them as a reference. See if they'll review you on Facebook. And then take all of that to the next job that you apply for.
Absolutely. Your case studies,
exactly.
Any things that you accomplished. Did you improve traffic by 25%? Did you, you know, help them with whatever it is, whatever case studies you can gather up? You're going to want to take all of that in one place, because that's going to help you get your next job.
Yep. And then you get to raise your prices and repeat. And this is how you grow and scale a business.
Absolutely. It's pretty simple, actually.
It is. So I think we covered most of the basics here. There's obviously a lot more to cover. I could go into depth on Craigslist, the Craigslist optimization alone, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have put together an entire training course. I think for certain people, if you already have a skill, if you've worked in this, maybe you're working remotely now or whatever, you know, this might not be for you. But if you're looking at all of this and we've outlined this for you and you've got some more questions, we went into depth, because this is going to take we can't do it all just in a quick 1 hour webinar.
Yeah.
It's going to take longer than that, but we put it all together in this course, Zero to Digital Nomad: How to Escape Your Desk Job and Travel the World in 90 days
or less.
It's totally doable. If you've got the time to put in and you've already got the skills, there's no reason you can't do it in less. And we're doing this course right now. It is a $349 one-time payment or a $99 4-month payment, depending on how you want to break it up.
Listen, if your budget is tight and you need to break it up, you can do that. But I am confident that you'll at least make money to pay back for the course. I would say many times over.
Absolutely. And here's why. Let's talk about what you're going to get in the course. So the first thing that you're going to learn is the exact method that Kari used to replace her income with remote work in 90 days. We went through the basic structure of the process here, but we're going to do a real deep dive. We're not just on Craigslist, but kind of across the internet. How do you find these jobs?
Hey, the writer's market is a great place to start too. Look, I'm full of places where you can find remote work.
Absolutely. And we're going to talk to you more in depth. We were talking about how important the cover letter is and how that can really make or break you. So we're going to talk in depth about what that looks like. How do you make it good?
We know what good looks like, and we know what bad looks like, because again, we get well over 1,000 applications every year at the Content Factory. And we post our jobs on Craigslist, by the way. We always post in 3 cities at once. Just a blanket coverage. I want to see what's out there. And my editor, Chris, goes through all of these and is like the first line of hiring manager that we have at the Content Factory. And so he's collected the best and worst of what you should model your cover letter and resume after and what you should avoid doing. And you get to see what good looks like and conversely what not to do.
I wonder, I think we should, I feel like, okay. I don't know if this is our best pitch. Let's start over here, because I think the thing that we didn't say, and I felt like this wasn't like my best work either.
Okay.
We need to say that this is a video training course.
Okay.
Because we did not explain what this is.
Okay.
I'm realizing.
So repeat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So for some of you, this is going to be all the information that you need. You maybe already have the skills, you're somewhat familiar with how to get work, and you just needed a nudge in the right direction. And for those people, congratulations, you are very close. We look forward to seeing you out here on these digital nomad streets.
Yes.
However, I know that for some of you, you've got some more questions. You'd like to know a little bit more about how this whole Craigslist thing works, how you find remote work, and you probably have questions about lots of other things as well, like the logistics of actually traveling, logistics of growing a business. I know that there's a lot here to unpack. And so Kari and I have actually been, for the last over a year, developing this really in-depth video training program. It's going to be self-paced. You can go through it step by step with a really in-depth look at each different topic. And we're going to have handouts, we're going to have templates, we're going to have spreadsheets, we're going to have tools for you to work with.
Step-by-step guides. You can't go wrong when you follow these processes, so much so that we guarantee it.
Absolutely. So, and if you're interested in this course, we have priced it for digital nomads. Now, we do training courses, or something that we do actually all the time in our day job.
Yes.
And this is something that we do for major national brands. And so we're used to charging, up to sometimes $15,000 for one of a training that's delivered, like a video training session like this.
Mm-hmm.
However, we know this struggle. We know where you're coming from, and what's most important to us is that this information gets to the people who want it and who need it. And so we have priced this to sell. We want to see that people are, invested in it. We want to see your investment, but we're not trying to price anybody out here, because we know that at the beginning, like when you're just getting started, that's not when you have maybe the most money.
Right, and so that's why we offer a payment plan.
Absolutely. So you can do a one-time payment of $349 or 4 easy payments of $99.
And I would be completely blown away if you are not able to make that money back in the first month.
Absolutely.
And again, with the snowball, you'll be making more later, ideally, but it's going to be quick to pay itself back.
Absolutely. There's no reason you can't make it back in the first month if you're following the process. So specifically, if you're wondering, here's what you'll learn. We're going to talk, first of all, about the exact method that Kari used to replace her income with remote work in 90 days. And you may be able to do it even more quickly than that. Kari was doing that while still working her 40-hour-a-week job.
Yes. I was coming home and then applying to jobs on Craigslist. And then I would wake up on Saturdays and I would apply to jobs on Craigslist. And guess what my Sundays were?
What, girl?
It was Sunday Fun Day with me and my friend Craigslist.
Cool. That's so fun.
It was good. It was good. But again, this is so replicable, and I have more ideas than just Craigslist. In fact, we've got an entire list of over 50 places where you can find remote work that comes as part of this course. How to write a resume and cover letter that actually gets you hired.
Absolutely. We talked a little bit earlier about how crucial this is in terms of the whole game. And so we're going to go really in depth. We at the Content Factory get literally thousands of applications every year. We're going to actually bring in Chris, who is our editor and our hiring manager at the Content Factory. And we're going to have him specifically show you from our wall of shame. Yeah, fame and shame, the best and worst of what we've gotten, anonymized, of course. And then so that you can see what works and what doesn't directly from somebody who is a hiring manager for a digital agency, just like the one that you would probably want to go and work for. And then from there, we're also going to show you step by step, okay, let's reverse engineer what it's going to take for you to create the best resume and cover letter that you can that's going to have the highest impact and get you the best and highest paying jobs that you are qualified for.
We're also going to tell you why you aren't getting hired and how to fix it.
Yes, so if you start this process and it's just crickets, because that can happen. It's a little bit of a trial and error process. And, if there is sometimes, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And so what we're going to do is show you, so if you do find yourself in that position, that you're going to be able to look at what you've done so far and say, okay, here's how we're going to plot our way forward, and here's how I'm going to change this, turn this around. Because it's a lot easier. People get discouraged so easily, but it's really pretty straightforward actually if you know what to look for and what to optimize for. And so we're going to go really in depth on that with you.
We're also going to bring in my business attorney, Christian,
who is a delight.
He's got a Southern accent and he's got style.
He sure does. He's the best.
And he is a fantastic business attorney. I refer him to people all of the time. And he's going to talk about the business of running and scaling a business. So, you're going to need contracts.
Yeah, if you have clients, suddenly, you're going to want to have a contract to protect yourself and to make sure that the communication is very clear between you and your client about what work is going to be done and what the KPIs, the key performance indicators are, so that everybody's on the same page. You're going to want to cover your butt on all of that. He's going to talk to you about trademarks.
Yeah. When do you start an LLC? When is a sole proprietorship okay?
Right, because once you start getting these jobs, this can snowball very quickly, and you're going to want to be set up so that you can take this and run with it. And you don't want to be in a position where you're not covering your butt legally, or,
in almost all cases, very early on, you're going to want to incorporate, because when you are not incorporated, you are personally liable for anything that may go wrong. So we've got an attorney who's going to come in and, talk to you about when you need to be making important decisions and moves from the legal side of things. Is your name trademarked already? Because that's a costly one.
Right, exactly. And these are, things that most people don't have this knowledge early on, and having this knowledge was so important to us that we include this in the course, because if you're going to be doing this, we want to set you up so that you can just run.
And be protected. So, for example, Christian charged me $2,000 for our contract. We're going to have a very similar template that you can use, and that's just as part of the course.
Absolutely.
There's a $2,000 value right there.
Yeah.
Just in the contract. And I love my contract.
No, Christian's time is extremely valuable, and we're actually going to break it up into two parts. He's going to be probably about 2 hours of content with Christian alone. And if you were paying a business attorney to consult and tell you these things, you would be paying hundreds of dollars for that person's time. And we know that people don't have that right now at the beginning.
But you need that information at the beginning is the problem.
Absolutely, you absolutely do. And so Christian is doing us a major solid by coming in to talk to you guys about that, which is amazing. And he really is one of the best. We also are going to show you, once you have this business going and you start making money, you are going to want to start leveling up. And so we are going to teach you how to become a thought leader in your industry. How do you become someone who is being quoted in the media, who is respected, who is seen as someone, not just, because that's going to help you get more work. It's going to help you get higher paying work.
Yep.
It's just, it all moves from there. So we can show you there are really specific ways that you can make that happen. And we're really excited to share those with you.
We can also show you how to get $100,000 in media coverage in 30 days or less. I know, because we've done it.
Absolutely. Our podcast, as we said, was in over 22 major media outlets last year. And I would love to tell you that it's because the media heard our podcast and came a knock-in on our door with just a bunch of questions. But listen, that's not the way that the world works. Let me be the first to tell you.
No, you're not going to be playing in your garage band in your actual garage, and then somebody walks by and is like, oh, that sounds good. Let me call my cousin, the record producer, real quick. Get him on the line.
Absolutely.
And the next thing you know, you've got a record contract. That's like the same kind of thing with media coverage.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but we can show you how we work in PR, but even if you don't have a single media contact,
right?
If you've never been quoted anywhere ever before, even if you are new to the industry that you are getting into, we can show you how you can get significant media coverage in 30 days or less that your mom and your grandma are going to frame.
Yeah, they're going to be very excited. Thanksgiving is never going to be the same again after you've been in Success Magazine a couple times. I know.
Yeah, absolutely. And the power of that is so huge because honestly, most people in the world do think that when you are in, glamour, the glamour must have just heard you and called you up. That's not how it works.
So, girl, we work from home in yoga pants, so we're not very glamorous.
Yeah, trust the glamour wasn't that interested until we gave him reason to be.
Right. And so we'll show you how to do that too. And that's going to help convert clients faster. They're going to be willing to write you bigger checks. They're going to believe in your capabilities and expertise, and it's just going to make things a lot easier for you. So becoming a thought leader and generating media coverage and knowing how to do that is a great way to very quickly level up.
Absolutely. Nothing will help you convert more on your website and to find new leads and clients faster than having that as seen on banner.
Exactly. And you don't have to make a ton of money to be able to travel the world and live like a baller. Kelly did it for $40,000 as an experiment to see what that looked like.
Yeah, absolutely. We did that last year. And because, there's a lot of different levels, of income. And I really am passionate about the fact that you do not have to make a ton of money. You do not have to be rich to kind of live like you are.
No, you don't even need to be upper middle class. $40,000 will do it. You should see how far that goes in Colombia.
Absolutely. We had the top floor penthouse suite of probably one of the nicest buildings in the best neighborhood of Colombia. It was just like Beyonce level views. I've never seen anything quite so glamorous, and I couldn't believe I was there. And we were there for 7 weeks, and I think that our total rent was $1,500, and we were splitting that.
And that was in Medellin, Colombia. So if you're smart about where you go and you know where the value is, you don't need to make six figures to be able to live like a queen.
Absolutely.
And so we'll walk you through that process too, because we learned how to do it.
Yeah, you don't need to be backpacking. You don't need to be staying in hostels.
No. What are you going to bring your hobo bundle with you in a hostel?
I don't know.
Hang on.
I mean, listen.
If that's your thing,
right? If that's your thing and that's what you like to do, that's great. But we don't. We are fancy ladies, and we wanted to travel the world in a fancy way, but we also wanted to do it in a way that we could show other people that it was completely accessible. Most of the time, I was staying in some of the nicest places I'd ever stayed in my life for less money than I was paying where I was from, which was Akron, Ohio, which actually, if you Google it, has historically one of the best costs of living in the United States.
Right.
The rent prices there are wildly low. So it's completely possible.
You're also going to get that giant list of the best places to find remote work online. We've been compiling this for months. I've looked at all of the listicles, and then I've got some more that I was just like, none of this made it in any of the listicles. And we've compiled those into a nice list of, you can really choose your own adventure. There is no shortage of remote work. The reason why you're not a digital nomad right now is not because the online work doesn't exist. It's plentiful. You just need to go find it.
Absolutely. And so we're going to give you do not need to, we're going to focus a lot on Craigslist because we maintain, and that really is kind of the best place to go. But we're going to hit you with a giant list. So you're not just going to be limited to Craigslist. It's going to be an embarrassment of riches in terms of the job opportunities. And then we're going to show you how to go out and get them. We're also going to hook you up with some battle-tested resume and cover letter templates. Like I said, we're going to bring in Chris, who is knee-deep in these things every single day. He knows what works, what doesn't, and we are going to compile for you some templates so that you're not starting from scratch. You're going to need to personalize it. This is not just going to be a copy and paste deal, but we're going to give you some really killer tips that are going to help you go out there and get some really awesome jobs.
We're also going to give you that sample contract that Christian put together. And again, that pays for the course in and of itself. you need a strong contract. Wait, you don't have a contract? Are you taking freelance work without a contract? No, you're not. Not anymore. Don't ever do that.
No, we don't want you to do that.
Terrible idea.
And it can cost you, hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to get a lawyer to help you put together a contract like this. And we're going to give you something that you can, that can get you started. You're probably going to want to get your own lawyer at some point once you level up. But for now, to get you started, this is going to, it's a good place to start. And it's going to save you a ton of money at the beginning. And you are going to be doing things right and making sure that you're protecting yourself from the beginning.
Right, and you'll have the peace of mind of knowing that you've got a contract to back you up. Because I hear a lot of people say, are you worried that your clients aren't going to pay you? And no, because I've got this contract though. And if they don't pay me, then they're going to get an email and then a phone call from Christian, and they're not going to like that. And it's never been an issue for me getting payment. And if you're struggling with getting paid as a freelancer and your clients are deadbeating out on you, you need to, number one, evaluate your contract, and then number two, consistently use it.
Absolutely. Through this entire process, you're going to be communicating to your, future clients how they should approach you and how much they should respect you. And if you come correct from the beginning with a contract, they're a lot less likely to try to weasel out of an invoice.
Right, exactly.
Because they know what to expect from you.
We'll also give you some tools that are going to make your job a lot easier. I've got all kinds of tools. A lot of them are free, that will make your proposals look professional.
Absolutely. And what's really cool about this is that when you buy into this class, you're going to be getting lifetime access to this course. And this is something that as it grows and as we get more feedback, you guys are really going to guide how this gets built out in the future. And so, if we find new tools, better resources, new templates, something that's going to help you, we're going to pop that into the course, and you're going to continue to have access to all of that as well. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I would highly recommend it. You're also going to get a 90-day checklist to get you going from zero to digital nomad.
Yes, and this is going to be everything from like the logistical issues of moving to, what do you need, what milestones do you need to be hitting, with getting remote work. How are you going to buy your plane ticket? All of this is like important stuff. And it's a lot to think about when you get started. And, we've been through it, we've been there. So we've got a checklist to kind of like keep you on track and give you peace of mind that, you've got all your bases covered.
I feel so strongly about the information that we're providing in this video training course that there was no question, money back guarantee.
Absolutely. We're telling you, you can do this in 90 days or less. And so we're going to back that up.
Yep.
We're going to say that if you are working the program and you are not filled with the results after 90 days, but we know that we're going to ask you.
Yeah, I'm going to want to see some screen caps of how many applications a day you've been sending.
Absolutely.
Have you been averaging at least 25 a day?
Right. And if you have been working the program and it's really not working for you, we will gladly give you all of your money back. We only want to take the money of people that we are able to help. We really feel strongly that most of you will be able to make back the initial investment in this video training series. It's why we price it that way within the first month. There's no reason you shouldn't be able to. But if you don't, no problem. We'll give you your money back.
It's a zero risk situation.
Absolutely. And so I hope that we'll see you guys there. We're really excited about this training course. This is something that we've been talking about for a while, over the last year, that we have been building for a really long time. I know that we're both really passionate about it. We've been talking a lot to people through our podcast about these exact issues. We've never gone before this in depth into how you actually do it. Like, what does it actually take step by step? And, like we said, we run video training programs for major corporations, and we know how to put a training program together. And we're really confident that this is going to be the most comprehensive, straightforward, honest, and doable program that you're going to find.
And we're going to try and keep it fun. We're not too dry.
No, we're going to keep it fun. We don't do dry and stuffy.
No.
We're going to make it a good time. If you know us at all from our podcast, you know that we love a good cackle laugh, and there's going to be plenty of that along the way. This is and should be a fun and exciting and joyful and empowering process. I know that it was for me.
It was for me too. There's nothing better than putting in your notice and having that empty chair in that beige cubicle farm, and that empty chair used to be yours, but you're never going to sit in it again.
Absolutely. I can't tell you how much the world opens up to you once you figure out how to untether your life and work from anywhere. Suddenly the possibilities are endless and you're going to have the time of your life. So if you had questions, this stuff sounds like something that you would like to learn more about, please go check us out. It's workationing.com/0 to digital nomad is where you can go and sign up for the course. And I hope that we're going to see just all of you there. Like we said, we've got the 90-day money back guarantee. We are really confident that you're probably going to be able to make back that $349 in the first month. And, if you're on payment plans, you might have already had it, paid off before you even, pay the whole thing. So we want this to work for you. And we know that it will if you work the process.
I'm committed to it. Are you committed to it is the question.
Are you committed to it?
Yeah, what are you going to do?
Exactly. So we really, really hope that we'll see you guys there. And thank you so much for joining us today. Wherever you are in the process of becoming a digital nomad, just know that this dream is very realistic. You absolutely can make this happen. People are doing it every day. It seems big, it seems scary, it seems like a lot to tackle, but the second you do it, you're like, why did I wait so long?
And if you're looking for support, we've got a Facebook group. We've got a Workationing Facebook group. Just head on over to Facebook.
Yes.
For Workationing.
Yes.
Find that group. We all support each other. Trade tips.
Absolutely. We drop all kinds of knowledge in there on the daily, and we commiserate, we answer questions. And the Facebook group is really what's also helping guide this program. So we feel so great about the program as it stands, but we're so committed to working with you guys and making sure that we're delivering you the best information in the best way possible so that you have the best chance of success, because we want you guys to get out here with us. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So anyways, thank you so much for joining us today. And definitely check us out if you haven't already on iTunes and SoundCloud, Google Play, the Workationing podcast. It's a lot of fun.
It is. It gets a little R-rated sometimes.
It does. We swear over there. Just be aware of that.
we don't swear in these trainings.
Yeah,
swear free.
Absolutely.
In these trainings, we might have to edit some things out.
Yeah, the podcast not so much, but anyways. So we hope we'll catch you guys on the podcast too, and we'll talk to you soon.